He was the most powerful man on earth. He commanded the largest army the world had ever seen. He ruled over 60 million people. He could have had anything, any pleasure, any indulgence, any luxury ever created by human hands. And yet, every single night, this man sat alone in his tent, surrounded by war, death, and chaos. And he wrote private notes to himself, notes that were never meant to be read by anyone else. Notes where he reminded himself over and over again, "You are nothing. You will die. None of this matters. Control your mind, or it will destroy you." His name was Marcus Aurelius, and his private journal, written nearly 2,000 years ago, would become one of the most influential books in human history. But here is what most people don't understand about Marcus Aurelius. He was not born a Stoic. He was not born disciplined. He was not born strong. He became all of these things through relentless, daily, painful war against himself. This is his story. Marcus Aurelius was born in Rome in the year 121 AD into one of the city's most prominent families. His full name was Marcus Annius Verus, and from the moment he could walk, he was surrounded by wealth, power, and political influence. But Marcus was different from the other children of Rome's elite. While they chased games and competitions, Marcus was drawn to something unusual for a boy his age: philosophy. By the time he was 11 years old, Marcus had adopted a habit that confused and worried his family. He began sleeping on the floor instead of his bed. He wore rough clothing instead of fine robes. He ate simple food when feasts were available to him. He was deliberately making his life harder. At 11, this was not rebellion, this was training. Even as a child, Marcus understood something that most adults never grasp. Comfort is a prison. The more you need, the weaker you become. And then, fate intervened in the most extraordinary way. Emperor Hadrian, one of Rome's greatest rulers, noticed young Marcus. History does not record exactly what Hadrian saw in this boy, but whatever it was, it changed the course of the Roman Empire. Hadrian set in motion a chain of adoptions that would eventually place Marcus Aurelius on the throne of Rome. Think about this for a moment. You are a teenager. You have just been told that one day you will rule the most powerful empire on earth. Every human being you will ever meet will kneel before you. Your word will be law. Your decisions will determine whether millions live or die. Most people would be consumed by this. The ego alone would be enough to destroy them. But Marcus did something remarkable. Instead of preparing for power, he prepared for wisdom. He sought out the greatest philosophers of his age: Junius Rusticus, Apollonius of Chalcedon, Sextus of Chaeronea, and he studied under them with an intensity that bordered on obsession. From Rusticus, he learned that reputation means nothing, only character matters. From Apollonius, he learned to remain the same person, whether in pain or comfort. From Sextus, he learned tolerance and patience. These were not casual lessons. Marcus was building armor, not for his body, but for his mind. He was constructing what the Stoics called the inner citadel, an unbreakable fortress inside himself that no external force could ever penetrate. He would need every stone of that fortress for what was coming. In the year 161 AD, Marcus Aurelius became emperor of Rome at the age of 39, and almost immediately, everything went wrong. Within his first year as emperor, the Parthian Empire, Rome's greatest rival in the east, launched a massive invasion. Marcus had to send his armies thousands of miles away to fight a war he never wanted. Then came the plague. The soldiers returned from the east, carrying something far more dangerous than any enemy army. A devastating pandemic, now known as the Antonine Plague, swept through the Roman Empire. It killed between 5 and 10 million people. Entire cities were emptied, the economy collapsed, the army was decimated. And Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher who wanted nothing more than a quiet life of study and reflection, had to manage all of it. But the plague was only the beginning. The Germanic tribes to the north, sensing Rome's weakness, launched invasion after invasion across the Danube River. For the next 14 years, Marcus Aurelius would spend more time in military camps along frozen rivers than in the palaces of Rome. He was not a military man, he was a philosopher. He had spent his entire life preparing for a world of ideas, not a world of blood. And yet here he was, leading armies, making life and death decisions, watching men die under his command. The Germanic Wars would become one of the longest and most brutal military campaigns in Roman history. And Marcus fought them not with the enthusiasm of a conqueror, but with the weary determination of a man doing what must be done. Every night, after the strategy meetings, after the reports of casualties, after the endless decisions, Marcus would retreat to his tent. And he would write. What Marcus Aurelius wrote in those private moments would become known as the Meditations, one of the most extraordinary documents ever produced by a human being. These were not essays. They were not meant to teach anyone. They were not philosophical arguments. They were something far more raw, far more honest, far more powerful than that. They were a man talking to himself, a man reminding himself every single day how to think, how to act, how to endure, and how to remain sane in a world that seemed determined to break him. Let me share with you some of what he wrote, and more importantly, what these words actually mean when you strip away the ancient language and apply them to your life right now. Marcus wrote to himself, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." This was not pessimism. This was preparation. Marcus understood something that most people never learn. If you expect the world to be fair, you will be angry every single day of your life. But if you accept human nature as it is, flawed, chaotic, often selfish, then nothing can surprise you. Nothing can destabilize you. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This single idea, that the only thing you truly control is your own mind, is the foundation of everything Marcus believed. You cannot control what happens to you. You cannot control what other people do. You cannot control the economy, the weather, disease, or death. But you can control how you respond to all of it. This is not a motivational quote. This is a survival strategy. And Marcus proved it works because he applied it while running the most complex empire in the world during its worst crisis. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Marcus was obsessed with this idea, that your thoughts are not neutral observers of reality. They are the architects of your reality. If you allow negative, fearful, resentful thoughts to dominate your mind, then your life will be negative, fearful, and resentful, regardless of your external circumstances. He was the emperor of Rome, and he still had to remind himself of this every single day. That is how powerful and dangerous the untrained mind is. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This might be the most important line Marcus ever wrote, because it attacks the one thing that destroys more potential than anything else in human life: the gap between knowing and doing. You already know what you should do. You know you should exercise. You know you should work harder. You know you should be kinder. You know you should stop wasting time. You know all of this. Marcus is telling you, and himself, that the knowing is worthless, only the doing counts. He wrote about death constantly, not with fear, but with clarity. He reminded himself that Alexander the Great and his mule driver were both brought to the same place by death, that the longest life and the shortest life lose the same thing, because the present moment is all anyone truly possesses. This was not morbid. This was liberating, because once you truly accept that your time is limited, everything changes. Petty conflicts dissolve, meaningless pursuits lose their grip on you. What remains is only what matters. But the wars and the plague were not the cruelest tests Marcus would face. That distinction belongs to something far more personal. In the year 175 AD, Marcus received devastating news. Avidius Cassius, one of his most trusted generals, a man he had personally elevated to power, a man who commanded the entire eastern half of the empire, had declared himself emperor. The report said that Cassius had been told Marcus was dead, but the truth was more painful. Cassius simply saw an opportunity and took it. Loyalty, gratitude, honor, none of it mattered when power was within reach. For most rulers in history, the response to such betrayal would be swift and violent. Crush the rebellion. Execute the traitor. make an example so terrible that no one would ever dare to try again. Marcus chose a different path. He told his soldiers that he wished to resolve the situation without bloodshed if possible. He said he would rather forgive Cassius than destroy him. In the end, Marcus never got that chance. Cassius was assassinated by his own officers before Marcus could reach him. But what Marcus did next revealed more about his character than perhaps anything else in his life. When Cassius's correspondence was brought to Marcus, letters that would have revealed every conspirator, every ally, every person who had secretly supported the rebellion, Marcus ordered them burned. Unread. He did not want to know, because if he knew, he would have to act, and he did not want revenge. He wanted peace. Think about the discipline this requires. You have been betrayed by someone you trusted. You have the power to destroy everyone who supported that betrayal. The evidence is literally in your hands, and you burn it. This is what the inner citadel looks like in practice. It is not theoretical. It is not a pleasant idea for comfortable times. It is the ability to choose wisdom over rage when rage would be entirely justified. Marcus Aurelius spent the last years of his life exactly where he had spent most of it: on the frontier, in military camps, far from Rome. His health was failing. Years of campaign life, stress, and possibly the lingering effects of the plague had taken their toll. Ancient sources describe him as increasingly frail, eating and sleeping little. And still, he wrote. In what may be the final entries of the Meditations, Marcus wrote some of his most powerful words. He reminded himself to accept death not as an enemy, but as a natural process, no different from the falling of leaves in autumn or the ripening of fruit. He wrote that a man should leave life the way a guest leaves a banquet, grateful, dignified, and without complaint. On March 17th, in the year 180 AD, Marcus Aurelius died in his military camp near the Danube. He was 58 years old. He had been emperor for 19 years, almost all of them spent at war. When word of his death reached Rome, the reaction was unlike anything seen before for a Roman emperor. The Senate declared him a god, which was common for emperors. But the people genuinely mourned him, which was not. He had never sought their love. He had never performed for their approval. He had simply tried every single day to be a good man. And somehow they knew. Nearly 2,000 years after his death, the private journal of Marcus Aurelius, a document he never intended anyone to read, is more widely read than ever. It has been translated into every major language on Earth. It sits on the desks of presidents, CEOs, athletes, and soldiers. It has influenced everyone from Frederick the Great to Nelson Mandela to countless ordinary people who discovered its pages during their darkest moments. And the reason is simple. Marcus Aurelius was not writing philosophy. He was documenting the daily struggle of a human being, trying to be better than his instincts, trying to be stronger than his emotions, trying to find meaning in a world that often seems meaningless. That struggle has not changed in 2,000 years. The technology is different. The clothes are different. The specific challenges are different. But the war inside, the war between who you are and who you could be, that war is exactly the same today as it was in a Roman military camp on the Danube. Marcus Aurelius won that war. Not once, not in a single dramatic moment of triumph, but every single day, through discipline, through reflection, through the relentless practice of controlling his mind. He built his inner citadel stone by stone, thought by thought, day by day. And his message to you across 20 centuries is simple. You can build yours too. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to the Inner Citadel. Every week, we explore the lives and ideas of history's greatest minds and the timeless principles they discovered for mastering your thoughts, your emotions, and your life. The next video will take you inside the mind of another Stoic giant, a man who was not an emperor, but a slave. A man who proved that true freedom has nothing to do with chains. His name was Epictetus. Until then, guard your inner citadel.